And this week I had the great privilege of both. Tonight, just a few hours before I started recording the podcast, I sat down and had a wonderful 15-minute phone conversation / interview with former Minnesota Viking defensive back Corey Fuller, which will be uploaded and shared with the world here Friday morning. So make sure to visit VikingsDigitalDiaries.com and check that out. And while you're there, if you have not done so already, just scroll down a little bit to the interview that I did earlier in the week. I believe it was Monday or Tuesday. I did my first interview of this week. Usually I only do one. This week I did two. But I had the opportunity earlier in the week to sit down for, this one was almost 25 minutes long. We could have kept talking for hours if we had unlimited time. But I had the amazing honor of sitting down and interviewing our current defensive line coach. That's right, current coach on the Minnesota Vikings of the defensive line, Andre Patterson. And that was one of my favorite interviews. I mean, I love every interview that I've done so far. I really genuinely do. I'm not just saying that. But the one with Andre from earlier in the week, man, that was a new fun experience yet again for me, doing interviews on the site. So make sure to check out both of my interviews with Andre Patterson, Vikings defensive line coach, and former Vikings defensive back Corey Fuller on VikingsDigitalDiaries.com this week, immediately. And make sure to share those, literally, like on Facebook. Hit the share button and retweet it on Twitter. Tell your friends about the website and everything that's on there, the amazing interviews that I'm doing, as well as all the awesome content from the other great writers and podcasters working for the site. Spread the word on that to your fellow Vikings fans. For me, do me this solid. I will be forever in your debt. In real Vikings news, the Vikings are in their second week of OTAs, or organized team activities. To the layperson, it really is the first full team preseason practices and meetings that are allowed to go on under the current collective bargaining agreement. The big news out of the Vikings OTAs thus far has been the appearance, presence, and participation of one Adrian Peterson, who has never, with the exception of his rookie year, has never done anything, ever been at OTAs, let alone participating in them. So awesome to see him there. And I don't want to put too much into it, but it's an amazing sign to me to see him breaking character like that and appearingly buying in to the Zimmer way, the Zimmer philosophy, what Zimmer wants from him, and doing everything that is asked of him to help this team win a Super Bowl. To me, it suggests that he genuinely believes what he says when he said a few weeks ago that the Vikings can win a Super Bowl this coming season. Not that they will for sure, but they can. And so, yeah, like I said, what I want to take out of it is that he actually believes that. And this is him putting his money where his mouth is and backing that up. And there are definitely things that he needs to work on, pass blocking, his ability as a receiver, being able to be on the field every down in every situation if, it's asked of him. And I want to say the Vikings have a new running backs coach, so good for him to, establish that working relationship. And ball security is another thing AP can always improve on as well. Not that it was terrible last year, even though some people think it was. Those people are idiots and wrong. It wasn't terrible. It just wasn't as good as we would like it to be, but not terrible. And I think when you consider all the questions of that this offensive line has, so who's going to be who's going to be starting where week 1 on our offensive line, and then you combine that with one of the only 2 guys we're pretty sure is going to be starting at a specific position is a new guy from a new team, that being starting left guard Alex Boone. You definitely, being a successful running back is very reliant on vision and your cerebral understanding of how plays develop and unfold, and the role that everyone on your team plays in the outcome of the play. So it is great on many levels. It is great that Adrian Peterson decided, for whatever reason, to be a part of Vikings OTAs this season. Love that. Now so that's a large good news from OTAs for the Vikes, and just a tiny bit of bad news so far, at least that I've heard. That would be a season-ending injury for one young defensive tackle, B.J. Dubose. I did speak with Andre Patterson about the B.J. Dubose injury, so just one of the many wonderful talking points we had in that interview to check out. Make sure you do it if you haven't already. But so the Vikings had to put him on the waived/injured list. Tough break for the young man trying to make this team and make a career for himself in the league. Hopefully he'll be able to recover from this injury and get another opportunity next year. But we'll just have to wait and see how that plays out. In the meantime, the Vikings went out and signed former Chicago Bears defensive tackle Bruce Gaston, because no one fights like Gaston, no one bites like Gaston. In a kicking match, nobody kicks like Gaston, except for Draymond Green. But so we'll have to wait and see if he even ends up making the team. Lot of question marks on the depth that will make the final roster from the Vikings defensive line standpoint. You got 3 big names at defensive tackle and 3 big names at defensive end that are all locked in with a job for the most part, unless things just fall apart out of nowhere with Robeson, which is possible. But Robeson, Griffin, and Hunter at D ends, and then Linval, Hungry, Sheriff, and Tom Johnson at defensive tackles. Those guys are all pretty locked into having some kind of role on that defensive line. So there's only about 2 to 3 spots open on that D line for other people to provide depth. Will be interesting to see who wins those battles as the preseason continues on. But so there's our Vikings talkers. Let's get into the league NFL football talker, and then we'll be done with football, and we'll be moving on to whatever else we got here on the show. But there was, in my opinion, big league news announced earlier this week. I watched the news conference and everything on it. From now on, or at least beginning next year, the annual Pro Bowl for the NFL is going to be held in Orlando, Florida, not Hawaii. And it is going back to the traditional AFC versus NFC format. No more of this stupid draft, Team Irvin versus Team Rice, or Team Emmett versus Team Sanders, or none of that stupid mumbo jumbo anymore. Going back to traditional AFC versus NFC. Now, those are just the simple on the surface facts that a lot of people are going to go, whatever, doesn't care. If you listened to all the details from the news conference on what they're doing to the Pro Bowl, I'm excited about it turning around and becoming something that we can actually enjoy and, dare I say, care about again in the near future. Now, you say, and even I say, nobody cares about the Pro Bowl. That's true for the most part. But in watching the news conference, it seems to me that the NFL, along with the city of Orlando, have figured out or come to an understanding of why. An accurate understanding of why nobody cares about the Pro Bowl, and that is the simple fact that we were proven this year by Teddy Bridgewater being a Pro Bowler, not because he was that good, but because 8 guys in front of him, 8 players in front of him who all had better seasons than him, said, no, I don't want to go to the Pro Bowl. There's nothing preventing me from going to the Pro Bowl. I just don't want to be a part of it. So no thanks. That's how Teddy Bridgewater became a Pro Bowler. And that is why we are at a point where nobody cares about the Pro Bowl, because the players don't care about the Pro Bowl. If we could come up with a way, or ways, more than likely, to get the players to care about the event and the game, and their efforts in the game. If we could accomplish that, then all of a sudden the fans are going to care. And if the fans care, the media cares. Because that's where the numbers are. The media cares about numbers. Now, some of these specific ways, the main ways, there's a theme, a direction that the league in Orlando is going with this that I think is beautiful. It's win-win. It should get the players to care more, or at least act as if they care again. And if it doesn't, it turns the players into villains, into bad guys, into people that we can actually hate and despise, and then whoever does come in their place is kind of the hero, So set up in a very traditional NFL win-win for the league situation, even if it doesn't play out the way that they're hoping it to. Now you're probably wondering, well, what are they doing other than relocating it and making it AFC versus NFC? Well, there are all kinds of special little perks now that are going in to the players. The players who are selected to the Pro Bowl are going to be allowed 2 free tickets, I want to say, to coaches. Not like they're coaches right now. I mean either their college coach or a high school coach or a pee-wee football coach, a coach that helped get them to where they are today, and a coach that was significant and impactful in their life. They are also the team that wins. Okay, so there's a reason to go. Is you get to give back in a unique way that should matter to you. If it doesn't, you're kind of a jerk, and we can be mad at you, not at the league. That's the win-win. And of course, there are many other things, such as vacation, Disney World packages for the players and their entire families, and things like that. Like they're going to be treated extremely well, but it's going to be a very family and youth geared event. Again, for more details, please just look it up. I'm trying to give you the generals. For a great low rate, you can get online, go to the general, and save some time. No, not that general. Jeez, am I allowed to do that, actually? Like, I hope I don't get sued on some copyright or trademark infringement. Anyway, oh well. But so they've got all these wholesome, publicly known incentives in place to get the players to want to come in the first place. And then one of, not the only thing, but one of the things that they are doing to get the level of competition and effort at a higher, more entertaining level during the actual game is there is a very special, unique bonus going to be granted to all the members of the winning team. No members of the losing team get this, but all the members of the winning team get a sizable, we don't know exactly what that means, but gets a sizable donation, charity donation, to their high school that they attended and played football at and graduated from. Giving back to their roots.